Welcome to the Dig Endurance Podcast, where we are all about digging deep and discovering the power of emotional resilience. I'm Aaron, and I'm joined by my brother, Sean.
As endurance athletes and business owners, we have learned a thing or two about facing and overcoming adversity. We are here to share inspiring stories from our guests that will help you to find that inner strength when you feel like you are running on empty.
Are you ready? Let's dig in. All right, welcome everyone to the Dig Endurance Podcast. We are excited to welcome Jerome Avery here with us today from sunny San Diego.
What's up, Jerome?
I'm a little jealous.
We're going down to LA this weekend, by the way.
Well, you might as well just keep it pushing
Coldplay.
down south. Come on down to San Diego.
And I know we chatted about the weather, but it's all nice down there, except for Saturday during the concert, there's like a 70% chance of rain. Literally, that's it.
Okay.
Whatever.
California.
So, Jerome, we've talked a little bit about the Dig Endurance Podcast and what we do. Go ahead and just introduce yourself for us. Tell us a little bit about your background, and maybe just take us through to what you do now and kind of how you got there. Whatever you kind of want to share as far as you go.
Well, my name is Jerome Avery. I'm a guide runner for the U.S. Paralympic team. I've been guide running since 2004. So in the world of guide running and in track and field, I'm like the grandfather, but I'm able to do this. And it's all because of my, I think, background, and it's the fire that's still lit in what I can do. And that's something that's bigger, than life, pretty much, running and being a part of something bigger than myself. So I started as an individual athlete. My journey was to be an Olympian. So my first time of qualifying for the Olympic trials was in 2000. So that was, I want to say Sydney was 2000. Super excited, trained so hard to get to this point. But I think at that point in time, I was more or less excited to be there at the Olympic trials. So what happens? First round, I get knocked out. I'm up here on this big, huge platform with so many amazing and talented athletes. And I think I got thrown off at the looking up at the Jumbotron as they announced me and seeing these guys side by side next to me weighing like 170, 80 pounds. And here I am weighing 120 pounds soaking wet.
Wow.
They announced my name. I looked on the side, immediately was knocked out of my race looking at these guys. Got knocked out the first round. And it's one of those things in the world of track and field and training for the Olympics. It's every 4 years. So it's almost like, what do you do next? Do you train another 4 years, or do you find something else to do in life? And I was young at that point in time in my career. So I decided to train another 4 years. So within that 4 years time span, it gave me the opportunity to move to the Olympic Training Center in San Diego, which has been amazing. Between that time, I became more of not just an athlete, but a student of the sport. So coming into 2004 Athens, Greece, I was prepared. I was excited, so games roll around me, the trials roll around, and made it out the first round, made it out the second round. So here comes the semifinals, and I was in the back, hot. It was hot. Sacramento, California is where they had the trials in 2004.
And sorry, what was your event? What events were you doing?
Sorry, 100 meters. I'm a sprinter, so I run 100 meters. My personal best time in the 100 meters is a 9:99. 9:99 is my personal best. And
wow.
And being in the United States, we have so many amazing and talented athletes running 9:99. So the room for error is very tiny and very small. Yeah. So going to the semifinals, prepared, but I'm in a new territory, made it to the semifinals, go back to the practice track. And I started doing a little bit more than I had to do. One thing that I've learned is what got you there will keep you there. That's something that I live by. That's something that my father had instilled in me. And it took him to go back to the track. He was in the stadium. It took him to go to the practice track and say, Jerome, calm down. You don't need to warm up anymore. You're prepared and you're ready to go. But by then, I'm already exhausted, tired.
Yeah.
As soon as we stepped on that track for that race, boom, race was over. Didn't make it on to the finals.
Oh,
It's a little bummer. So it was like, what do you do then? Do I train for another 4 years or do I find something else to do? Just during that time, I'm still young, early 20s. So during that time frame, it just so happened when I didn't make the trials, a good friend of mine who I was training with was a leg amputee. And he had said, hey, Jerome, I know you're not going to the Olympic Games, but would you be interested in still going to Greece? And I knew this guy was pretty amazing. His name is Marlon Shirley, super amazing leg amputee. And he said, would you be interested in going to Greece? And I said, yeah, sure, would love to. Greece, free trip. But then he also said,
heck yeah,
what you will be doing you will be a guide runner for visually impaired athletes. And, once again, Greece free trip. This sounds amazing. And I've never been around anybody who was blind at all. So it was an opportunity for me. And the way that I grew up, family support, father was in the military, and my mother worked for the state. So helping your fellow man and woman was always instilled in me. And that was a part of my journey. So father was also a track coach. Anybody who needed help, he was always there for summer track. Kids that didn't have the shoes, he was there. And mother was the same too. She was that type of person that anybody she'd see, she would love to talk to. And here I am now in my life, and I became my parents, which is pretty awesome. I help. I've learned to be patient, and I've just created so much more by being a guide runner. So leading into Sacramento, after that, I basically had 2 weeks to prepare to run as a guide runner. So I got to train at the Olympic Training Center. And one thing about the Olympic Training Center, if you don't make it to the games, you're out of there. Because if you can't do it, being in the United States, they can always find other athletes. But it gave me
for sure.
Yeah, to stay and meet someone so amazing. So 2 weeks before the Paralympics, now let me go back a little bit too. You have the Olympics. 4 weeks later, after the Olympic Games, you have the Paralympics. Same venue, same stadiums, same everything. So it's usually just 4 weeks to a month after the Olympic Games. Now going back to it, we're training. I get to meet this amazing guy. His name is Alex Gillette, and we immediately hit it off. Before he got there, one of the things that I felt that was important was for me to put myself in his shoes for that moment. So I knew in his category, which is totally blind athletes, they all wear blinders. And that's basically to keep the whole playing field even. So what I did was I went into a huge field, empty field, nothing but grass. I put a blinder on myself and I tried to run full speed.
You found out real quick what that's like.
Real quick.
not scary at all, I'm sure.
The first thing, especially for us with sight that we want to do is stutter because we truly don't trust ourselves. So what I ended up having to do was understand, okay, here's a guy who's willing to delegate his whole responsibility to me to get him down from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So that was an amazing feeling right there to learn that, to understand. It also showed me that I had to find different ways to make this work. I had to paint the picture so he can see it, so he can see it in the way that he could.
Yeah.
So the way that now, it's so amazing for me knowing this now, the way that I paint the picture, I would like for anybody and everybody that I communicate and talk to be able to close their eyes and see the journey with their eyes closed. And that's from me guide running. So I've learned so much in the process of guide running. 2 weeks in, getting this guy ready, we're going to Athens, Greece. Super prepared, ready to go. Within that short amount of time, I had a lot of knowledge built in. We're the first ones up at the opening ceremony, and he's on the runway. So one thing that is a little bit different, I think I talked to you guys a little bit about this. He's not also a runner, but he's a long jumper. Now here's where
Yes.
Here's where it's interesting. For long jump, if you don't know what long jump is, you run down a narrow runway and there's a board at the end of the runway. You jump in the pit, and there's a sand right there. So for what we would do as a caller, and that's what I would be, a caller at that time, I would make sure that he's straight, and I would run all the way down to the end of the runway, turn around, and clap this guy down the runway. So he knows how many steps he's supposed to go off of on maybe his 15th step on the left side. That's when he's supposed to jump.
Wow.
So here you are now, me calling him down, straight. And obviously, as you see, the tempo gets faster. That means they get closer. His first attempt, he hit me, and I hit the ground, and he's in the ground hurt. So now it's like, what do you do? There's a stadium full of 70,000 people in the stadium. This is the biggest stadium that I've been into, but it's one of those things where you have to learn, have to adjust to and understanding that you just have to figure out a way to make it happen. So immediately as I get up, I ran to him, and in my head, I'm nervous. I'm a nervous wreck. This guy, he trained this hard to get to this point, and I got him injured. So as soon as he stood up, he dusted it off. The crowd goes crazy for him. 70,000 people. He can't see it, but of course he can hear the energy. Yeah. Very impressionable, young. And I said, Lex, these guys are here for you. They're here for you. Let's make this happen. And he was like, all right, let's do this. With that right there, it showed me that this guy who only known me for 2 weeks was willing to give me another chance to get him down the runway. Once again, he was willing to delegate his responsibilities to me. For me, that meant so much. So I knew I wasn't going to make that same mistake and that error. We get on the runway. He's ready to go. Straight. He gets the silver medal off of that jump.
Boom. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So one of the most amazing things and the best feeling, I think, and it was bittersweet for me to be in Greece, but a great feeling was the bittersweet. I'll put it to you. This bittersweet was that I trained for the Olympic Games. So I wanted to be at the games as an individual athlete. I saw all of my teammates, my roommates go to the games for opening ceremonies. But it wasn't until the time that I saw Lex Gillex on the podium smiling and thanking me. And that's when my mantra, success through selflessness, came alive. Being a part of something that was bigger than myself, being a part of something that was a team, and understanding my life experiences, my individual experiences as an individual athlete carried over into the team aspect. And there was value in that. And through the years, I just created so much more, and it just opened up so many doors.
Well, it sounds like in that moment, I mean, so the role switched very quickly is what I gather from, okay, I'm going to be an athlete in the Olympics to, okay, here's this new opportunity. And this is the second time now where it's like, okay, I'm looking for a redirect maybe, or am I going to the Olympics again? Then all of a sudden there's this quick new opportunity and you only have a few weeks to prepare for it.
Correct.
Then you're in the lion's den, so to speak. You're in the Coliseum, 70,000 people. And I'm picturing, I mean, it sounds to me like a career, like a true career defining moment. This is his first. Had he sprinted before the long jump, or was the long jump his first?
That was his thing. Yeah.
That was the first event. That was the first event.
Only there as a caller originally, but I was a backup guide runner, and one of the guide runners got injured, and I became a guide runner.
Okay. So literally on your very first time ever doing this is when he crashed into you. That was your very first. Wow.
That was the first time.
So you're probably in a split second, like, shoot, I mean, I know what I'm just thinking, what I might, feel like, okay, this is embarrassing. Shoot, I screwed it up. I let him down or whatever. And I think what sets the tone that's interesting is, and I'm always impressed as I go to some of these events. I've never been to a Paralympic event, but I have been to similar such events. I do think that it's a different breed, a different crowd. I find them to be a lot more optimistic and positive than your typical person in my experience. But like, I'm sure for you, it was a career defining moment. Instead of jeering or laughing or anything that might make you feel, whatever, to hear the whole crowd just cheering and like, hey, keep at it, bounce back up and go for it. And then, Lex, right, was his name.
Lex.
And then he's just like, hey, yeah, let's get after it again. No harm, no foul. And then you guys nail it on the next one. I mean, to me, like, I don't know, that sounds like it was a career defining moment for you. One where it could have gone one way,
yes,
but it ended up going a complete different way. And it sounds like it set the tone for what's been on a near 20-year kind of career from there. I mean, unless I'm wrong, that's what I'm gathering.
No, you're absolutely right. And I definitely think it was that reassurance from him that allowed me to continue to do what I do. It was that one thing that I truly believe in the world of Paralympics, and it crosses over to any aspect, especially as a guide runner, is the importance of trust, communication, and teamwork, and talking to each other. And that's what helped us tremendously to get from point A to point B and be successful in what we do.
So from there, after your first games, I mean, just hooked or what? Like,
yes, it was pretty much, I still wanted to be that Olympian, of course.
Yeah.
So leading into the next 2008, which was Beijing, I ended up having another opportunity to run with another athlete. So there's a few guide runners in the world of the sprinting aspect of it. So when I was guide running, I was a 100-meter sprinter, 200 meters. And there's a few of us out there in the United States, to be honest, at this level. And I ended up pairing up with another athlete because he was a full-time sprinter. Lex, I was still his caller, but I was also a guide runner full-time moving forward now. So in Beijing, leading up to that, the guy that I paired up with by the name of Josiah Jameson, he ended up getting a gold medal, which was awesome. That was a great experience. That was a great experience, and I just enjoy it. But by that time, I was like, okay, the journey is done for me to be a guide runner. I reached the top level of guiding. I was able to put somebody on the podium, not only in the jumps category, but now in the sprints category. So I'm done. I left the world of track and field in a hole. I knew during that time frame that was it for me. But it wasn't until, and I actually moved back to Central California at that time. So that time I was working with post-collegiate athletes getting ready for the NFL. I was also doing speed training camps for local kids in the community softball, track and field. So that was my journey. And of course, as you know, the Olympics and the Paralympics are every 4 years. Now, one thing that I didn't say is that during this time frame, every other sport in the Paralympics, as a guide runner, you get a medal, except for track and field. So during this time frame, I was enjoying the journey, and I loved it because I was able to do this, and this was something that I was good at. As of 2012, leading into London, they had announced, now guide runners get medals. Guide runners get medals now. So I'm like, okay.
Team effort. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Team
now,
effort.
okay, this is an opportunity for me to get a medal. I can get a medal. You hear what I'm saying now? I get a medal.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. I would want a medal myself.
But guess what happens in 2012? Don't medal. I started thinking more or less about me. I mean, I know it was a team effort, but I think
I see where you're going with this.
Process a little bit different now. I forgot the importance of team. I started thinking the fact that I can get a medal. I've never got a medal.
I want a medal.
So this was the first games that I wasn't able to put someone on the podium. So it was heart-wrenching. I felt that I let the athlete down, and it sucked. So, but the cool thing about this journey is that the next game was in Rio. So it gave me another opportunity, which was 2016. That gave me another opportunity, and it gave me another athlete that I had the opportunity to run with. I knew this time I wasn't going to make that same mistake. I knew this time I had to, at practice while we were training and prepping and getting ready, I had to figure out what did I need to do to get you across that finish line? What did I need to do to make sure we were good as a team? You know, because not only am I a guide, but I also need to be guided as well, working with these athletes, you know, so hearing their point of view of what I'm doing is very important as well. If I'm running too fast or if I'm leaning too much on the inside, I need to know, slow down, communicate more. I'm gonna go back a little bit more. I don't know if we touched on this a little bit more. So as a guide runner, communication is what I do when I talk. I make sure I talk from the beginning of the race to the end of the race. We're connected with the tether, which is connected by our finger, our pointer finger and our index finger. And that's how we're connected. It's 4 inches long, and we're allowed 2 lanes while we're running. Starting blocks are side by side. Perfect example, it's like a 3-legged race. So you have to be in sync. Your cadence have to match. So this is how it sounds from a 100-meter race. Soon as the gun goes off, down, straight. There you go. Come on, drive. There you go. Come on. Use your arms. You're at the 10-meter mark. There you go. You're looking good. You're at the 30-meter mark. Come on now. Use your arms. You're looking good. Get it up. Keep going. You're at the 60-meter mark. Come on. He's catching up to us. Stay relaxed. Drop your shoulders. Use your arms. Come on. You got this. You're at the 90-meter mark. 5 meters. Lean.
Wow.
And that's a 100-meter race. One other thing is, if I cross before he crossed, that's a disqualification.
Oh, boy.
Oh, what?
So not only am I pumped up, excited, but I also got to remember this isn't my race to win. This is the athlete that I'm there for. Like I tell people, at the end of the day, he's Batman and I'm Robin, but I'm also a superhero too, you know? So being a part of that journey is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, listening to all the ins and outs or like the little nuances, it sounds harder, frankly, than doing Olympics for yourself. I mean, because there's so much additional detail that you have to pay attention to. So there's your own physicality, your own training. Obviously, you have to be up to physical snuff as the individual. Then you said you had to be in sync, and if you're not, like if you're getting ahead before him, you can get disqualified for that. So you literally have to be like on the same page that way. And then you're his eyes and you're his communication. So you have to be able to communicate to him to make sure that, you know, he knows where he's at, that you guys are on track. If he needs to make any adjustments, and you're doing that at, you know, 100 miles an hour, it sounds like, basically. Like, I don't know. That sounds stressful to me.
It sounds very selfless to me.
Yeah, it does.
You put in the work, he relies on you. You know, you do A through Z, and you just all this work goes down so that he can be on the podium.
Yeah.
That is, I love that.
And then you realized when maybe your focus shifted, interestingly enough, that's when your performance was impacted, and it sounds like you kind of redirected your focus to, okay, I got to help these guys, whatever the littlest adjustment could be. I got to focus on that for them. If we're going to medal together, it sounds like
that's a natural reaction.
Right.
What I'm impressed about is the fact that you were aware enough to recognize that, and say, hey, you know what? That's because I focused on myself just a tad bit, and it's not about me. And you were able to redirect that process and put it back on him. I mean, that's most people aren't that aware.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they really aren't.
So how would you, I mean, you've given us a lot of your story, you know, from where you started to where you've gone. And I mean, are you still doing Olympics? Do you still?
2024 may be my last run at it. I'm paired up now with my original athlete that I ran with in 2004. So super excited going into Paris 2020 next year.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It sounds like, you know, I don't know. I'm interested to ask you, I guess, talk about your goals then, like what you were aspiring to do then, and how that's translated into where you are now. And like, how would you, I guess, contrast, you know, the aspiring young Olympic athlete and like that training and those goals to like what has transformed and become your goals now as a Paralympic, you know, guide? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it's definitely through life experiences. Is everything that I've learned as an individual athlete that I was able to carry over. You know, the team aspect is definitely different. And I understood at that time that my career was slightly dwindling down, and that opportunity to make the team as an individual athlete wasn't there. So now there's still opportunity for me to be active still in the sport, but at a different angle. Everything that I've learned from the student aspect of track and field, and even in life, period, you know, my life experiences have allowed me to make that adjustment easy to be a guide. And once again, that I think that's from my parents, and it's from my upbringing. It's definitely from life experiences, you know, that what carried over.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like, you know, what could have been, I guess, you know, the end of an athletic career. You know, you pivoted, right? I mean, you had other doors opened by virtue of your training and the work that you put in. And, you know, where others maybe feel a sense of defeat or hang their hat, you know, what you could have just as easily said no to, or this is outside my comfort zone, or, that sounds like not really what I've been preparing for. You know, you gave it a shot. I mean, it sounds like you kind of found your calling. I mean, in a way, and in the end, it sounds like you've also been able to, you know, unexpectedly go after that medal that you were seeking originally anyway. Oh. So I think it's perfect for what, you know, kind of what we embody, you know, with DIG, which is there's always, I've found in my experience, there's always opportunity and redirection. You know, we're so quick sometimes to just like, and sometimes I think it comes from like, I guess you're so fixed to a path, like years and years, right? You've had your, what's the word? Your training plan. You've had your, you know, your regimen, right? And so I guess we just kind of get into robot mode on that. I know I do sometimes. And so when the defeat comes, or like a setback comes, it's almost easy to be like, oh wow, I did all this for this moment, and it's not working out, and I guess this is the end. But like, I guess as business owners, Sean and I, what we've learned a lot of times, just through experience, is, you know, new opportunities or other achievements or other goals are sometimes just an adjustment away. Mm-hmm. And there's almost always opportunities where you might, you know, just have to, you know, be open to look to find them, or seek advice to find them. I think I'm impressed by your story in that you were open, you know, to those opportunities or those redirects. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like that's made for a memorable career, to say the least. Right. Uh-huh. So
I've had the opportunity, like we talked about earlier, you know, about 7 years ago, I found out what Ironmans were. You know, I was a raging alcoholic. I was like pushing 300 pounds. It was just chaos, right? So anyways, I got into the Ironman circuit, and I was like, this is it. This is great. So then selfishly, you know, you get into that endurance training mindset, and that's all that matters. Nothing else matters. Yeah. Anyways, long story short, I get all the way, you know, years down up to now where, you know, I've got surgery and all this stuff, and I'm not able to train. And so I get into coaching over the past couple of years, and I've had a similar experience, not on the same, you know, level or crowd that you've been in front of, but like even 2 weekends ago, we took 4 of my Ironman athletes to Ironman Santa Cruz, and I got to sit there and watch them with all their family members and their kids, their wives, watch them all complete this Ironman 70.3. And they had been training with me. We've become close friends, and I got to sit back and, you know, provide this path for them and knowledge that I had, and then watch them all experience. And it was like a whole different, I mean, I was like borderline, almost had like a little tear coming down. I was like, this is freaking, and these are good friends of mine. These guys are friends, genuine friends now. And that experience has just been awesome. And there's a couple of random, in fact, I think one of the guys is I think his name's Ben Canute. He was an Ironman guy, and I think he's a Paralympic guide for the triathlon team. I think
that's good.
He's like top notch. He did it one time on a whim, and he's like addicted. He's like, I can't stop doing it. It's everyone has the same story that does this. And I'm like, I need to get in on this. This sounds awesome.
It's even more, fulfilling, it's cool to do it for yourself, but, I'm sure when you see the other guy get that medal, in Sean's case, when he saw them cross the line the first time, and, even me, like I coach my son's soccer team right now, and it's like the under 8s, but like, there's something about coaching an athlete to do something for the first time, or to achieve something for the first time, or overcome a fear, that I actually find more fulfilling than even, my own, personal athletic pursuits. And, I just think that in and of itself becomes just as addicting, if not more so, sometimes, helping and coaching others to reach their own new success, you know what I mean? Or set a new standard or a new goal or a PR. I think that's awesome.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It really is the best for me.
That's what I call success through selflessness right there.
I saw that. Success through selflessness.
There's so many different ways of looking at it, and you guys hit it on the head right there with that one. Teachers, who've worked with so many kids and seeing the success that they had, being a part of that journey, being a part of something that's bigger than themselves. And that's an amazing feeling.
When people are invested in you like that. I've had mentors like that. We all have, right?
Yeah.
You just know, you can start listing them off on your fingers, and you're like, they were invested in me entirely, and it had nothing to do with them. They were just, here it is, become a better person, take this guidance and run with it. And I'm going to cheer you on the whole time.
So with your experience, in Paralympics and guiding athletes to, basically the peak or the epitome of what their goal or their dream is, what would you say to someone listening today, based on just with your life experience, look, who's just hitting a ceiling or looking to overcome whatever it is that's setting them back? In your experience and based on your Paralympic, training, as a guide, what's your advice to such a person looking to break through, looking to overcome, looking to redirect? What would you say to such a person?
I feel like a lot of people in their life experiences, there's something that's always there to carry over into a different journey. And that's exactly what I did. I've carried over my upbringing. I carried over my knowledge as an individual athlete. And once again, that helped me become a guide runner. And even with that, I had to understand how important it was to communicate, trust another person as far as his words and delegate, and the fact that you have to delegate your responsibilities. And that's what allowed me to be a guide runner. That's what allowed me to create something different in life. Leading into that, so I want to, bring it up too a little bit. Our next games was Tokyo, which was 2020, but the pandemic had hit. One right there. The pandemic had hit. So of course the games was postponed. And during that time frame for Tokyo, was my first time ever getting injured. Never been injured before, ever, during my whole career.
Sean and I love injuries. They're the best, huh?
It's like they're never there, and then they show up, and it's like, yeah, we're not leaving. We're just going to hang out with you the rest of your life.
Yeah. So that's a tough one. So now imagine you having to do your job, but you're injured and running on an injury. It's getting worse. So now we have to bring in another guide runner to fill your shoes. So the hard part is sit back, recover, understand you need that recovery in order to be back on top of your game. But seeing the bond between the athlete and another guide, it hurts. I'm not going to lie to you.
It definitely hurts.
Yeah. When you're clicking and it's going good, you may not be running as fast, but you're clicking. The guide is healthy. The athlete is healthy, but the patience that I had to understand, I had to be patient. I had to be selfish in that instance of recovery and getting better. Unfortunately for Tokyo was the first year that I didn't go on to the games because, I came back a little bit too late, healthy, but the guy that I was running with, he felt more comfortable running with his new guy, which is understandable, completely understandable. But during that time frame, of that uncertainty of like, this is it for me as a guide runner. What do I do now? During COVID, it helped me out because I had so many, because of our success for 2016, I was able to get a medal. And not only that, the Paralympic world, it's broadcasted now. We're starting to get hours and hours of airtime. So people in the United States are seeing what's going on. They're seeing the Paralympics. They're seeing, awesome. The disabilities, different disciplines. So now I have parents reaching out to me and saying, hey, I didn't even know this existed. My child is blind. Mothers and fathers reaching out to me and saying, hey, what is guide running? How do I become a guide runner? So during the time as we came out of the pandemic, I had families flying into San Diego and meeting up with them at parks, teaching them the importance of guiding, connection, and talking. So that created a whole different world now. Wow. So this isn't just the Paralympic world. It's now empowering people and a connection with families, who wants their child and understand that their child could just do more than just be smart and schooling. Now they could travel the world. They can run at the highest level. So once again, it created a whole new world.
There's always more.
All through track and field and all through my life experiences as an individual athlete.
That's awesome. That's incredible. I mean, well, and it's like, it sounds like you got another games ahead of you, at least, but you're already teeing up the next potential opportunity, or maybe the next redirect. I mean, and it goes back to what we were saying, that opportunity is always there, as you continue doing what you should be doing and you're open to new doors opening. There's always more things down the road. We've also been, we talk a lot about our journey, and my unmet goal is I'm trying to go to Boston. That I'm trying to qualify for the Boston Marathon. I'm working. I'm working. Sean coaches me. But yeah, 2 years ago almost now, I got a sports hernia. Just the most nagging, dumb injury that you could have, especially as a runner. And everything we've been doing the last 2 years after surgery has been. And it's kind of like it's like, oh shoot, is this the end, for running? Can I still reach this goal to qualify for Boston like I've always wanted to do? And, just start working with Sean and others to like, okay, just got to readjust my training and try to make some tweaks here and see what we can figure out. And so we're like a year into that. I'm doing my marathon in like 5 or 6 weeks. Okay. Feel pretty good. It's still like, I call it a new normal. There's still always like some stiffness or resistance, but I'm back to times that I was doing before. It's taken a really long time. Sean has to give me some different kinds of workouts and implement things a little differently than what I would have if I wasn't partially broken. But
how are you getting in?
Well, right now I'm about 55 a week. So we're pushing.
Are you talking about miles?
Yeah, he's asking how many miles.
Oh
a week.
yeah. But we're implementing like, overloads on like overgearing on indoor bike trainers, stuff like that, like tons of non-impact stuff that adds extra without the impact. He's made really good progress.
We're in the thick of that process you described. I refuse to believe yet that I'm not going to get there, and there's still more in the tank. And so we made some adjustments. We're going to see if we can hit that goal and just go accordingly. But I agree. I believe there's always doors open. There's always opportunities out there. You just keep going. Whatever that looks like, you just keep going. Yeah. And I do believe that if you choose to keep going and you choose to keep a positive mindset and you choose to be open, that other opportunities will always present themselves. And it sounds like that's kind of been the story of your journey. I expect it's probably going to continue. It sounds like to stay that way for you. So that's awesome.
Almost certain that
when do you are you in the kind of the, 2024 is a year away. Are you in the thick of that training now?
Now we're actually getting ready for Parapans, which is, if you guys aren't familiar with the Pan American Games, that's North America versus South, and that's going to be in Chile for the Pan American Games. Like any championships, you have the Pan American Games, and then you have the Parapan, which is a month afterwards. The Pan American Games is going to be in October in Chile, Santiago this year. And then, of course, we're prepping to get ready for the Parapans in November. So, unfortunately, I will be missing my home-cooked meal from my family Thanksgiving, which is a bummer because I get to come back home to Central California. But the preparation for that, we're dialed in right now. We're getting ready for that. So that's our focus right now. Our focus is full-time training. We train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then Sunday off. So,
and you're paired again with the same original athlete that you had so 20 years ago, I guess.
Woo,
almost.
That's a long time. Damn.
That's crazy.
That's beyond impressive.
That's crazy.
So, well, I have one last question, just out of curiosity. You guys train, obviously. There's strength, there's sprinting, there's all of these physical aspects. Are there specific trainings to, the fingers, how to do things, how to communicate, how to use your body, just in terms of communication between the two?
I think it's on the fly pretty much, but those are adjustments that guide runners should be making. As an athlete, all I want them to focus on doing is just running fast. So my thing is with that tether, there are verbal cues as you heard earlier on.
Okay.
And there's nonverbal cues, which is what I'll do with the tether. So if we're side by side in the starting point and he veers out to the side, I'll make those adjustments silently by veering my arm inwards, which means he needs to turn his body inward. So those are the non-silent verbal cues that we go to. And it's just one of those things, it just becomes a part of just second nature right there. And
you have less than 10 seconds to make those little cues.
Right? Yeah. You got to be moving, and it's got to be.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
And there's times where the tether just completely comes off. So what do? You can't panic, but those things is something that we work with. So we run without the tether at times too, where if he starts veering off, I'll slightly put my hand on the inside of his elbow while we're in the same arm motion, so he'll see and feel where I'm at.
Wow. So you're prepared for anything that comes, basically.
As a guide runner.
I mean, after I guess the first crash, that would probably be enough for me to make sure I'm prepared for anything after that.
I'm telling you experiences and learning from your experience, and that's exactly what we did.
100%. Jerome, wow. This is definitely unlike any guest we've had. Very, very unique background, very unique story, and just incredible. And it's really cool that you're still in the thick of it, and we'll be watching now. Where the next?
I was just gonna say we're gonna need to watch this.
Where's the next games again? Sorry, remind me.
The Parapans is going to be in Chile, Santiago in November, but the Paralympic Games and the Olympic Games will be in Paris in 2020.
Paris, and that's where you're going to be back with your first athlete.
That's the plan. You'll have to qualify, of course, but we continue.
When's the qualifying?
The qualifiers. So I don't know if you guys know, but the last people to qualify for the Olympics and the Paralympic Games is swimmers, cyclists, and track and field. So we're a month out before we have to before we go on to the game. So we qualify, I want to say, in July. And
I watched the Paris Games, the triathlon Paris Games.
Oh yeah,
Christian Blumenfeld and stuff. Yeah, I watched that, but I didn't know they were separate. I just assumed all the events were at the same time. I had no clue.
Well, good luck. We'll be paying attention.
So there's airtime, though. To be clear, we
have a full-on airtime this year. I mean, we're next year leading into the game, so it's going to be huge.
Okay, make sure you text me and when this is happening, so I'm aware of this too. If I'm not already,
make sure you text me and let me know how this Boston Marathon is going too, as well.
Oh, we will. We will. So, Jerome Avery, Paralympic guide runner, thank you so much for joining us, for sharing your stories and the journey. And we'll be watching here in the next couple of years as your next events come up. So good luck. And
hit the podium, baby.
Thanks get a medal again. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be in touch. Thanks, Jerome.
Appreciate you guys.
Have a good one.